You ever meet someone with a PhD who can't stop losing money in the stock market? Yeah, me too. Being smart doesn't mean you're wise with money. In fact, some of the brightest people make the dumbest investment decisions. Why? Because it's not about it's about behavior. Well, let's talk about why your brain is brilliant, but your wallet's bleeding. Ego is the silent killer of smart investors. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It tells you you're the exception. You've got the education. You've got the credentials. You've got the experience. So should experience. You've solved complex problems at work, led teams, maybe even started a business. So you think, surely I can outsmart the market. But the market doesn't care about your resume. It doesn't care how many books you've read or how many letters come after your name. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, a software engineer, a CEO, and still lose your shirt investing because your ego tells you that you're too smart to fail. That's where the downfall begins. Ego convinces smart people to ignore basic principles. They don't want slow and steady. They don't want boring. They want clever. They want to beat the system. So instead of dollar cost averaging into index funds, they pick stocks based on a gut feeling. They ignore the warnings. They ignore risk. They ignore history. They say things like, this time it's different. No, it's not. History may not repeat, but it sure as heck rhymes. And if you ignore it because your ego tells you you're smarter than the rest of the world, you'll pay for it. Sometimes in silence, sometimes publicly. I've seen engineers pour thousands into tech stocks that tank. I've seen doctors buy rental properties with zero cash flow just because they ran the numbers. I've seen entrepreneurs chase crypto coins like it's a treasure hunt, ignoring the fact they don't even understand what blockchain means. And here's the kicker, they're not stupid. They're incredibly intelligent people, but intelligence in one area doesn't guarantee wisdom in another. Just because you're smart in business or medicine or engineering doesn't mean you're smart with money. Ego refuses to ask questions. Ego doesn't like, I don't know. Ego would rather pretend than admit a gap in knowledge. So instead of getting a coach, reading a book, or following a proven system, the ego-driven investor wings it. They treat investing like a game of poker and end up playing with their kids' college fund. You know what humble people do? They admit what they don't know. They keep it simple. They ask questions. They listen more than they talk. They follow a plan, even if it's boring, because they know boring builds wealth. The smart ego-driven investor says, I've got this. The wise investor says, let's make sure I actually know what I'm doing. Ego also loves taking credit for wins and blaming others for losses. When their risky bet pays off, they'll tell everyone how brilliant they are. But when it tanks, suddenly it was the market's fault, or bad luck, or someone else's bad advice. You can't grow if you don't own your mistakes. And ego doesn't let you grow because it keeps you in defense mode. You don't improve your investing game by pretending you're undefeated. You improve by being honest about where you messed up and learning from it. Here's another danger of ego, overconfidence. It makes you think you can time the market. Buy low, sell high. Sounds simple, right? But no one, not even the top investors in the world, can consistently time the market. Still, ego says, I can see you sell too early, thinking it'll crash. Or you buy too late, thinking it'll keep going up. Or you jump in and out trying to be a hero, and you end up missing the real gains, the ones that come from timing the market, not timing the market. Not timing the market. The guy who sets up automatic investments into an index fund every month and doesn't touch it for 30 years. The one who ignores the headlines, ignores the hype, and ignores his own ego. That guy, he wins. Ego also keeps you chasing the next big thing. You made a good investment once. Now you think everything you touch will turn to gold. So you start taking bigger risks. More leverage, more speculation, more innovation. Before you know it, you've gone from being a disciplined investor to a glorified gambler because ego doesn't like limits. Ego wants to double your money, triple your returns, win fast, and look brilliant. But real wealth isn't about flash. It's about faithfulness. Real investing is slow, steady, boring, and wildly effective over time. Here's the truth. The market humbles everyone eventually. The smart survive by getting humble before it's too late. They kill their ego before their ego kills their portfolio. So if you're smart, great. But don't let that become your weakness, because in investing, it's not the IQ that matters most. It's the mindset. And a humble, disciplined mindset will always beat an arrogant, impulsive one. Put your ego aside. Follow a plan. Be patient. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. And that's how wealth is built. Smart people love shortcuts. They're wired to be efficient, to solve problems, to find faster paths. And that works great when you're coding software, running a business, or managing a team. But when it comes to building wealth, shortcuts will bury you, me. See, wealth doesn't care how smart or efficient you are. It responds to time and behavior, not hacks. You can't outthink compound interest. You can't rush a retirement portfolio. You can't optimize your way to millionaire status by next Tuesday. But smart people fall into this trap all the time. They say things like, why save for 20 years when I can double my money in one deal? Or why invest in boring index funds when I can flip houses, trade crypto, or day trade stocks? They're not dumb. They've read the books, watched the videos, they've seen the math, but they still get pulled in by the lie that there's a faster way. So they take the riskier path. They leverage their money, chasing big wins. They jump from one opportunity to the next, never staying long enough to see results. And then when the shortcut blows up in their face, they call it bad luck. It wasn't luck, it was impatience. Let's be real. Shortcuts in investing are usually just long, expensive detours. They sell you the dream of fast money, but deliver the nightmare of lost years. Time you can't get back. Money you can't replace. And worse, confidence that gets shattered. Because now you're not just broke, you're discouraged. And discouraged people stop investing altogether. That's the real cost of shortcuts. They don't just take your money, they take your hope. Meanwhile, the guy who never chased the shortcut, he's been quietly investing every month. He's not flashy, he's not a genius. But 10, 20 years later, he's financially free because wealth is a crock pot, not a microwave. Oh, yeah, not a microwave. Now let's talk about the one thing that actually works, the thing that doesn't sound exciting but builds real results over time: discipline. Discipline is doing the right thing when you feel like doing anything else. It's investing when the market is down and everyone's panicking. It's staying consistent when your friends are chasing shiny objects. It's sticking to your budget when you get a raise instead of upgrading your lifestyle. Discipline is boring, and that's why most people avoid it. But boring is what builds wealth. You want to know the biggest difference between rich people and broke people? It's not income. It's not education. It's not luck. It's discipline. Rich people delay gratification. They understand that success comes from consistent small decisions over a long period of time. They invest month after month, no matter what the headlines say. They buy things they can afford, not things that impress strangers. They live below their means. They stay the course, even when it's hard. Smart people sometimes struggle with discipline because they think they're above the system. They look at average advice and think, that's for everyone else. I can find a better way. But there is no better way. The system works if you work the system. You want to win with money? Do the boring stuff. Budget your money every month. Pay off your debt. Save a fully funded emergency fund. Invest 15% of your income in mutual funds or index funds. Max out your Roth IRA. Stay in the market for decades, not days. That's the recipe. It's not complicated. It's just not popular because discipline doesn't feel good in the moment. It feels like sacrifice. It feels like saying no. But later, it feels like freedom. Discipline is what keeps you investing when your emotions scream a sell. Discipline is what keeps you out of get-rich-quick traps. Discipline is what lets you retire early while your friends are still drowning in payments. The crazy thing is, discipline doesn't even require high intelligence. It just requires a decision. The decision to stop chasing easy. The decision to stop following the crowd. The decision to commit to a plan and stick to it. You don't need a genius IQ to win with money. You need character. You need grit. You need to be the kind of person who shows up month after month, even when it's not fun, even when no one's watching, even when it feels like nothing's happening. Because the people who keep showing up, they win every time. So forget the hacks, forget the hype, forget trying to be clever. Just be disciplined. That's not flashy. That's not fun. But that's how you stop being broke. That's how you build wealth. That's how you build wealth. And that's how you change your life. One smart, boring, disciplined decision at a time. Emotion is the enemy of wealth. And the market is a master at playing with your emotions. It's fear one day, greed the next. Up 3% on Monday, you feel like a genius. down 5% on Thursday. You're questioning everything. Smart people know how to analyze a spreadsheet, but they still panic when their portfolio dips. Why? Because money isn't just math, it's emotional. It's your future, your retirement, your kids' college, your security. When money is on the line, logic goes out the window. You see a red market and your brain screams, "Hey, sell before it's gone." You see green candles shooting up and you feel, "I'm missing out. I need in." But here's the brutal truth. Reacting emotionally to the market is a guaranteed way to lose. Smart investors don't just know what to invest in. They know when to do nothing. They don't let their fear make decisions. They don't let their greed rewrite their plan. They don't treat investing like a roller coaster. They treat it like a freight train. Slow, steady, unstoppable. Emotionally driven investing leads to buying high and selling low. That's not a strategy. That's a tragedy. Now let's talk about the fuel that feeds emotion: hype. Hype is loud. It's in your face. It's the guy on YouTube yelling about a 1000x crypto coin. It's the media saying stocks are the future. You're missing out. It's your cousin at Thanksgiving bragging about his NFT side hustle. Hype plays on two things: fear of missing out and fear of being left behind. It makes smart people forget the basics. They throw their money at the next big thing without asking the most important question. Does this actually make sense? You don't need a financial degree to know something's fishy, but hype makes people ignore red flags. It makes them forget history. It makes them skip due diligence and dive into investments they don't understand. I've watched people pour their life savings into trendy assets just because everyone else was doing it. They didn't read the white paper. They didn't understand the business. They just saw the rocket emoji and thought, this is it. And when the hype train crashes, which it always does, they're left holding the bag. Ego is the voice in your head that tells you that you're different from everyone else, that your intellect or expertise in one area means you can master investing with ease. It convinces you that your intelligence in one domain guarantees your success in another. When you're smart, it's easy to believe that your education, experience, and problem-solving abilities will automatically give you the upper hand in the financial world. You assume that you can beat the stock market or that your knowledge gives you the edge to outsmart the system. However, ego doesn't just give you confidence. It blinds you to the risks you're taking. It leads to overconfidence, which can cloud judgment and cause you to make reckless decisions. You might start to take on complex investment strategies without fully understanding them. Whether it's picking individual stocks, betting on high-risk assets, or timing the market perfectly, ego encourages shortcuts. But here's the reality. The market doesn't care how smart you are. No matter how educated or experienced you are, the market has a way of humbling you. When ego drives your investment decisions, it often ends in disaster. Ego ignores the fact that wealth building is about consistency and patience, not about taking big, flashy risks. Humility and a willingness to learn from mistakes are far more important than thinking you can outsmart the market. Then there's emotion, which is another powerful and destructive force in the world of investing. When the market crashes, panic sets in. When it surges, greed takes over. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. Emotion clouds judgment. Fear makes you sell at the bottom, locking in losses. Greed leads you to buy at the top just before the market corrects. In both cases, you're making irrational decisions that hurt your long-term financial goals. The problem is that emotions are inherent in investing. Your money represents security, and when that's threatened, it's only natural to feel fearful. The issue comes when fear leads you to make snap decisions based on panic rather than a well-thought-out plan. Similarly, when the market is doing well, greed pushes you to chase after the next big thing. You start believing that the upward trend will last forever, and you dive in without thinking it through. But emotions, by their very nature, are fleeting. The fear of loss or the greed for more can drive you into bad decisions that undermine your financial well-being. While emotions are impossible to completely eliminate, the key to overcoming them is discipline. Successful investors understand the power of staying the course. They don't react to every market dip or surge. Instead, they stay focused on their long-term goals and follow a plan that's rooted in logic, not feelings. Those who consistently invest without giving in to emotional impulses are the ones who build real wealth. The emotional roller coaster that most investors experience is what leads to poor decisions, which is why the most successful people in the market are those who have learned to control their emotions and invest with patience and foresight. Next, we have hype, which is the siren song that tempts even the most intelligent people to stray off course. You've seen it, news stories and social media posts that announce the latest a hot stock or a can't-miss investment. Hype is seductive. Hype is seductive. It promises easy money, quick returns, and the thrill of getting in early on the next big thing. It taps into our fear of missing out, FOMO, and convinces us that we'll be left behind if we don't act now. It lures us into making hasty decisions, investing in things we don't fully understand just to keep up with the trends. But the problem with hype is that it's often built on smoke and mirrors. It draws attention to trends that are either overblown or outright speculative. So hype leads to bubbles, which are fragile by nature and destined to burst.